So again, on behalf of the Office of Child Care's National Center on Early Childhood Quality Assurance, we want to welcome you to Tom Copeland's The Business of Family Child Care. And tonight's webinar, it has a focus on marketing. Again, very happy to have you here. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Tom Copeland. And Tom, many of you know, is a man who really needs no introduction. He's a renowned author and expert in the field of family child care and business related issues to family child care, and a true champion for all that you do to help you. So we're very, very happy to have him here. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Tom.
Thanks, Patty. Welcome, everyone. I'm coming to you from my home office in St. Paul, Minnesota, where it's a gorgeous day. And if you have questions throughout this session, please post them in chat. We'll be monitoring that, and I'll be pausing it several times to try to answer some of the questions. Because of the number of people who are on this webinar, it's highly likely I won't be able to answer every question. But that's okay, because this session is being recorded, and I will be posting this, a copy of this recording, as well as a Q&A of these questions and my answers on my website that you see here, tomcopelandblog.com. If you have questions after this session, I'm happy to try to answer them. Send me an email to tomcopeland@live.com. I'm happy to answer questions about marketing or any other aspect related to the business side of what you do. I don't charge anything for answering questions. Your questions might be answered on my website. There's where I've posted hundreds of articles on all aspects of the business side of family child care, including an entire section with a lot of articles about marketing. I'm also on Facebook. Every time I post an article on my website, it will appear on my Facebook page, and you can ask me questions on Facebook. Let's go to the next slide. For this class, we're going to talk about what is marketing, how to communicate the benefits of your program, how to compete with childcare centers and other family childcare providers. And we'll look at a number of different strategies for marketing your program. Next. I'm not providing you with personal professional advice. If you need professional advice, you need to consult one. Next. Before I get started, I want to make it clear that there are really no rules about marketing. Marketing should be fun. Marketing is the opportunity for you to be creative and essentially do whatever you want. That also means that you don't have to agree with what I'm going to be saying as part of this webinar. If I suggest an idea that you don't like, that you think is not going to work for you, that's okay. None of my ideas will work for everyone. So let's start by asking the question, what is marketing? I'm defining it as the ongoing communication of the benefits of your program. It's an ongoing process. It's not a one-time thing. It's about communication. It's not just about advertising. That's a really tiny part of marketing. Rather, it's communicating. And what we're communicating is going to be the benefits of your program. Next. So the goal of marketing is to reach out to parents and compel them to want to purchase their service. To do that, we need to focus on how your program is going to meet the needs of children and their parents. Because unless you can show how you're going to meet their needs, it's going to be hard to attract new families. Next. We're still in the middle of a very stressful time for families, children, your family, your business, everyone. I'm not sure when we're going to get into better times financially, but I hope some of the ideas that I'll be sharing as part of this webinar can help you move forward to a better situation in the future. We want to start with, what do parents want? During this pandemic, there have been signs that parents are looking for smaller group sizes for their children. In other words, a shift in emphasis from using a childcare center to using family childcare. For many years, parents have been increasingly putting their children in childcare centers and less so in family childcare. This trend may be starting to reverse. Family childcare is well suited for pandemics when parents don't want their children exposed to as many other children. Parents are more likely to be working at home, and that is likely to be the case going forward. That means that in many cases, parents are only looking for part-time care or only looking for school-age care. This creates opportunities for family childcare providers. And as a result, you may want to adjust your program to meet these new demands. What do parents want? That can change. So I would strongly recommend that you stay in communication with your local childcare resource and referral agency and ask them, what are parents looking for today? What kind of care are they looking for? Are they looking for part-time care, odd hour care, special needs care? What do they want, so that you have a better idea and may want to adapt your program to meet this need. This is probably the most important slide as part of tonight's presentation. If I'm a parent looking for childcare, it's likely that I'm thinking to myself two questions. Why should I enroll my child in your program? I'm calling you up on the phone. I'm visiting your program. I'm thinking to myself, why should I enroll my child in your program? What does your program offer that other programs don't? These are two important questions because I, as a parent, have choices. Now, even though we're at a time where many childcare providers have gone out of business, from a parent point of view, I still have choice. I could use your program, or there's probably another program in my area that I could also use. So you're in competition with other childcare programs, whether they're homes or centers. So why should I come to your program? I can go to another one. Give me a reason why I should go to yours. your ability to answer those questions will largely determine, I think, how successful you're going to be. So we need to understand more about what I mean when I use the word benefit. To promote your program, you want to use the language of benefits, not the language of features, to describe your program. A feature merely describes what your program offers, whereas a benefit explains how your program will meet the needs of children and parents. For example, if I call you up and you say, Tom, I'm licensed, I'm a licensed provider, that's a feature. And that's not as important a message to communicate as to say, Tom, your program will be safe, your child will be safe in my program because I meet all my state's health and safety regulations. When you say to me, I'm licensed, I'm thinking, well, so what? Why do I care about that? What's the benefit to me that you're licensed? You want to tell me what the benefit is. Another example, if you say to me, Tom, I have a child, I have a CDA, Child Development Associate credential. Well, from my point of view, I would think, well, good for you. So what? Instead, you would want to say, Tom, I am well trained to help your child learn more. That's the benefit of your credential. And so that's what you really want to share. A feature focuses on you, your childcare program. And it begs the question, why does it matter to me? Why does it matter to my child? You need to think about this from the parent point of view. A benefit focuses on the client, on the parent. And parents will make their decision about where to enroll their child based primarily on your benefits, not your features. Therefore, you want to identify 3 or 4 benefits of your program that answer the question, why should I come to your program? What do you have that other programs may not have? Now, this might not be easy to identify. When I'm with providers in a room and I'm teaching this class face-to-face, and I ask providers to tell me a benefit of their program, usually it's very difficult for most providers to come up with something. So you may need help from other people to help you identify your benefits. You could start by doing at least annual written parent evaluations or evaluation when a parent leaves, and ask them in the evaluation, what do you like about my program? What did you like about my program? Get the children in your care together, and depending on their age, ask them, what do you like about being here? Whatever the children say, whatever the parents say, is going to be in the language of benefits. The children are not going to say, I like it that you're licensed. I like it that you're on the food program. No, they're going to say, I like that you give me a hug every morning. I like the food. I like playing with my friends. Whatever they say, write it down. And then when a parent is calling you on the phone, when the parent is with you at an interview, you could say, this is what the parents in my program say they like about my program. This is what the children in my program say they like about my program. That might be easier to say than saying something about yourself. Some providers are bashful. They feel like they might be boasting. And so they might find it difficult to just come out and say how great you are. So getting that kind of feedback from parents and children can make a difference, can make it easier. What else? All parents, no matter who they are, highly value education for their children. All parents want their children to succeed and learn. Unfortunately, some parents don't recognize how children are learning in your program. This can be particularly true for infants and toddlers. How do parents know that their infant or toddler is learning in your program? Let's go to the next slide. One way of communicating that you're teaching children and that the children are learning is to use the language of learning that will reinforce the benefits of your program. Therefore, I would suggest you want to describe yourself as a teacher. Tom, I'm going to help teach your child. Use the word such as tuition. Providers charge tuition. That reinforces the language of learning. Using the words learning, education, a lot. Tom, this is what your child learned today. This is what your child's going to learn tomorrow. This is what your child's going to learn next week. I don't think you could overemphasize the value of learning and using those words. Preschool. The word preschool is important. Language is important. If I called you up and said, I'm a parent looking for childcare, do you have a preschool program? How would you answer that? When I'm in a room with providers, I'll ask, if you offer a preschool program, raise your hand. And many providers will. But then I will say, if you didn't raise your hand, how many of you care for children of preschool age? And more hands will go up. Here's the problem. Parents like the word preschool. They think preschool is a program that offers a structured learning environment for children for a portion of the day. It's a good thing. Preschool equals learning. It has the word school in it. So it's a positive thing. Now, you may offer a preschool program, great, but you may not offer the kind of formal, structured kind of preschool that you think about in a childcare center. But are you offering care for children of preschool age? If so, you are offering a program for preschoolers. So you might say to me, Tom, this is the kind of program I offer to help your preschooler learn. It's a curriculum I created myself. We do a lot of extended play, whatever. Tell me how my child, my preschool child, will learn in your program. I'm not telling you to mislead me into thinking you're offering the same type of structure preschool that you might find in a childcare center. But you can certainly tell me how my preschooler will learn. And if I call you up and say, do you have a preschool program? As long as you're caring for preschool children, you want to say, yes, I do. Here are some examples of benefits. Oh, did we go too far or? Okay, here are some examples of benefits. I have an enclosed yard. That's a feature. Your yard is enclosed. Okay, great. What does that mean? I have an enclosed yard for safe, fun outdoor activities. That's the benefit. I have planned learning activities. One of the unique benefits of a family childcare program or even a childcare center is that you have planned activities. You don't just say, welcome kids, do whatever you want, I'll see you at lunch. No, you have a certain amount of structure, an agenda. You do things that are planned out. And those planned activities, they're not just planned, they're planned learning activities. So that's what you could say to parents. Maybe you offer religious activities. That's a feature. What's the benefit of religious activities? You teach moral values. Maybe you have a mixed age group. That's a feature. What's the benefit of that? Children can help each other learn. I have a diverse enrollment where children learn about different cultures. Now, if we were in a room together, I'd say, how many of you have more than 10 years of experience, been doing childcare for more than 10 years? And lots of people would raise their hand. And then I would say, well, what's the benefit of you doing childcare for 10 or 15 years? And pretty quickly, someone will say, experience. I have a lot of experience. That's not a benefit. It's a feature. Maybe you've been doing childcare for 15 years, but you're a terrible provider, doing the same thing year after year after year, not very well. I assume we've all had the experience of having a high school or college teacher who is not very good, but might have had a lot of experience. All parents have experience raising their children. That doesn't mean that all parents are great teachers that are helping their children learn. All right? What is the benefit of doing childcare for 15 years? You have a lot of knowledge. Tom, I've been doing childcare for 15 years. And this is some of the things that I've learned. I know about all of the parenting resources in our community. So if you have any questions or issues around your child, I can refer you to all the organizations that might be able to help. I've seen every kind of child care illness, and so I know how to deal with it. And I'll be able to reassure you about what is happening to your child. I've seen every kind of behavioral problem there is, and I know how to handle it because I've seen it before. Your knowledge is your benefit. Now, what is the benefit if you're just starting out? This is the first year in childcare. Your benefit is enthusiasm, energy. Tom, I'm just starting out, but I have a lot of excitement. I'm really, really interested in helping your child learn. You might also say, Tom, I have experience raising my own child, teaching Sunday school. I bring knowledge to this, my business. I have a background. I used to be a nurse. I have a background in music. I'm going to help your child appreciate music, and so on. Everyone has a benefit, no matter who you are. So you want to identify 3 or 4 benefits, memorize them. So when a parent calls you on the phone, you can share the benefits. Tom, these are some of the reasons why you would want to come to my program. I'm going to help your child learn a second language. I have this curriculum that I've created or that I'm using that I found is very successful to help your child learn. Put your benefits on a flyer. Put them on your website. Put them on your bulletin board. Put them in your contract. You want people to identify those benefits with your program. Let's pause here and see if there are some questions.
There are a few questions, Tom. A lot of people, though, are commenting on how helpful this information is. Thanking you for the information that you're giving them. So let me get to the first question. Sorry. If I want to market by stating that I offer free tuition to families receiving government benefits, would that be misleading when their child care is subsidized, meaning tuition is free of cost to them because they are on the county? That's from Crystal.
Well, if you're trying to promote your program to other people receiving county assistance only, then yes, that's appropriate. Come to my program. It's free, meaning you're on county assistance, so you're not going to have to pay anything. Come to my program. Now, however, that's not enough, because there are other providers who are caring for subsidized children. And so why should I come to your program? Because I can get free care over somewhere else. So yes, that's part of what you can say, but you certainly want to say more. If you are also, however, trying to attract private pay parents, then that's not a good message because it's not free to them.
Thanks, Tom. And Sherry asked this question when you were talking about the language to use in articulating your benefits. And she said, what are your thoughts on the word play school?
Fine, great. You know, it captures both the non-academic, if you will, and the academic. So play is a good thing. Parents need to understand how play relates to learning and having school. Now, I would suggest you want to be a little bit careful to see whether or not there's any problem with you using the word school. In some places, you can't use that word unless you're providing a certain kind of school curriculum, school learning. So if you can use the word school, then describing yourself as a play school, I think is great.
And Hannah asked about using the word tuition instead of rate.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong, all right? Everything I'm gonna say is my opinion. So there's no right or wrong. I kind of like tuition rather than rates because we associate tuition directly with school and learning. And rates, like, I'm more likely to argue about your rate than I'm going to argue about your tuition. You know, I like the word tuition better for that reason.
And that looks to be the only questions that have come in at this time about what you've covered. A couple other questions have come in that will respond to the person individually, and that you actually, one of them you'll probably get to later on in the presentation. So again, people are Just so grateful for the information. And before I turn it back to you, Tom, just want to remind people that you will get a copy of both the PowerPoint and the recording. And if you're having trouble hearing, there's a little globe at the bottom of your screen. Click that globe and then choose either English or Spanish. And that should allow your audio to improve. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Tom. Back to you, Tom.
Okay, next section, we're going to talk about using the internet. As we all know, today's young parents grew up on the internet. They're comfortable with using computers and phones and all this technology. They're using the internet to buy many, if not most, of the things that they buy. They're using the internet as their primary source of information. Therefore, if I'm, as a parent, looking for childcare, I'm likely to go on the internet. And if I do, will I see your program? Will you be there? Are you on the internet? And if so, what am I going to learn about your program? In my opinion, your program should be visible on the internet, on Facebook, on Craigslist, through online classified ads, having your own website, and having a Google business identification as well. So let's first talk about Facebook. I'm a parent. I've heard about you. Maybe I've had a conversation on the phone with you, and I'm going to probably look you up on Facebook. Most providers have a personal Facebook page. Some providers also have a business Facebook page. Some have both. I see a lot of family childcare providers' Facebook pages. And unfortunately, too often, I cannot tell that that person is a childcare provider when I look at their page. And why is that? Because you're not telling me you're a provider. So you want to make sure you say on your Facebook page, Sally's Childcare Home, Busy Bee Childcare, whatever. Tell me right away that you're a childcare provider. Most providers don't. Next, I think you want to put on there whether you have openings. Preschool openings starting May 1st, whatever. Tell parents you're looking for more children if you are. And also list 1 or 2 benefits of your program. There's space there for you to say something about yourself or your program. The vast majority of providers don't, and you're missing a big opportunity. Now, we also have to be concerned about privacy. Providers, as well as everybody else using Facebook, are sharing a lot of pictures. So you need to be very careful and having written permission from parents before you post pictures of their child on Facebook. Here's an example of what I mean. A provider called me up and said, I took a picture showing 3 children in my program. One of the children's face was back to the camera. You couldn't see her face. I got written permission from the other 2 parents to post the picture on my Facebook page. The next day, the parent of the child whose back was to the camera came to me and complained that I had not gotten her permission to put her picture on Facebook. I said to her, but you couldn't see the child's face. You don't know who that is. And the mother said, but I do know who that is. That's my child. So you need to be very careful. Bend over backwards to make sure you have written permission. And it's different than asking permission to put the child's picture on your refrigerator, because a picture on Facebook can be taken by anyone and shared for years. So you want parents to know that that picture of their child's going to be on Facebook, so they understand and accept that. You can limit access to pictures you put on Facebook so that only the families in your care can see them. Now, Facebook can be used in a very positive way to share information about your program and to describe benefits. One provider I thought did an excellent job. She would show pictures of what the children were going to do in the morning. She never showed a picture of children, but she would say, morning activity, and here's the sand table or the water play area. Here's a picture of the lunch. So she would show a picture of the plate of food. This is what your child ate today. Here's a picture of our outdoor activity and the new toy that I bought. Here's a picture of the bulletin board where I have an announcement that I want you to read when you pick up your child. Here's the name of the song and the lyrics of the song I taught your child today. So I, as a parent, would get a sense of what my child did during that day, and that would help me connect more quickly with my child at the end of the day. Did you enjoy the spaghetti? Shall we sing the song that you learned today? In addition, I, as a prospective parent who's thinking about choosing this provider, would get a pretty good idea of what it might be like for my child to be there. And with this kind of information, it would appear to me to be a very welcoming kind of program. The vast majority of providers make no effort or little effort to show parents through Facebook why they should bring their child to your program. Next. What else?
Tom, sorry, Tom, can I just pop in and ask you a question, because there's a lot of chat going on about, you spoke about the permissions. Some people are suggesting that they put the statement in their contract. And so by signing the family child care contract, they're agreeing to have their child's picture posted on Facebook and other social media. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yes, you could put it in your policies that indicates parents who are signing the contract, parents who are signing the policies understand that children's pictures will be on Facebook. I'm a little bit nervous about that because yes, it makes it easier to incorporate that with your paperwork with parents. But if you're asking blanket permission to use any picture that you take of a child and to put it on Facebook, as a parent, I'm nervous about that. Because maybe you're going to take a very unflattering picture of my child. And for me to sign once that says you can do whatever you want on Facebook, I don't like that as a parent. And if it's buried somewhere in your contract and parents aren't reading it carefully, they may not realize what they're signing. Now, if you're making a special point of discussing Facebook in particular, and you're talking to parents more about how you use pictures on Facebook, then I might feel a little bit better.
Thanks. And a few people are wondering if you have a template on your blog for permission.
I've written a book, Family Childcare Marketing, and in that book, there are a variety of permission forms in the back, a variety of other marketing handouts, forms, and that's one of them. Is it on my website? I don't remember. I'll show my web address at the end, and go there and just click on marketing, and you'll see all the articles I've written about marketing. I don't remember.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Sorry
right.
to interrupt.
That's fine. So I would also recommend, if you have a Facebook page, to add to your email signature a link to your Facebook page. In other words, an email signature, right, where your name and name of your program or something is always embedded. So every time you send out an email, no matter to who it is, it always has at the bottom your name or whatever you put there. Well, you just want to add to that, find my program on Facebook and have a link. Why? The person you're sending your email to, your neighbor, your friend, your high school roommate, may not need childcare, but they may know somebody else who needs childcare. And so you would just want to make sure everybody in your universe understands that you're a childcare provider. So I recommend this. You might also want to put there toddler opening June 1st and keep that updated so people are getting the idea of what kind of children you're looking for. If you have a website, I would do the same thing. Have a link there to your website. Okay. Craigslist. Some providers like Craigslist, some don't. It's a free online advertising site where you could stick up there information about your program for parents who are looking for childcare. I suggest you go there for a couple reasons. One, sometimes parents post on Craigslist that they are looking for childcare. So you might find a parent on Craigslist. If a parent is saying, I'm looking for infant care on the West Side, and you're on the West Side, but you don't have an opening for an infant, you might respond to that parent and say, hi, I'm Sally on the West Side. Sorry, I don't have an infant opening. I do have a preschool opening. If you know of somebody else who has looking for preschool on the West Side, I would ask if you wouldn't mind referring them to me. Parents know other parents who are looking for childcare. You could also go on that site just to see how other providers describe their own program, and that might give you some ideas on how to describe yours. You can go up there and post your openings and your benefits. Some providers don't want to list their address or their phone number or even their email on Craigslist because they're afraid they might get a lot of crank advertising and people they don't want to hear from. You can still post on Craigslist without directly sharing that information with everyone who sees you. Instead, you can go through Craigslist so parents will get screened before they come to you. Next. Online classified parents. If I'm a parent looking for childcare, I'm likely just to Google looking for childcare in St. Paul, Minnesota. And I will see a lot of information that might help me choose a childcare program. What am I likely to see? These are examples of referral sites that often come up. Sitter City, Care.com is very, very popular. KinderCare, Yelp, a bunch of other places. You'll also see ads for childcare centers. I strongly recommend taking a look at this. You'll be surprised at how much information there is about other childcare programs. When you see some of these referral sites, you want to go there as if you are a parent looking for childcare, and look for childcare in your neighborhood and see what you find. Because in some cases, you will see your program. Because some of these sites simply gather all the licensed programs from the state and stick them up on their site. Some of these sites may charge a fee, care.com. So it's worthwhile to take a look from a parent point of view. If there are very few other providers on their referral site, I don't think you want to advertise them. If there are a lot of other providers, in my opinion, if you're going to spend any money on advertising, this is the place to advertise. Next. YouTube. YouTube is the primary platform for people sharing videos. So I would suggest you go to see what other providers are doing. Search childcare or daycare or family childcare, and you'll see a variety of videos. You'll see more videos from childcare centers than family childcare, but you will see some. And they're usually a variety of kinds of videos, from the very, very simple to a provider simply talking in front of her computer saying, "Hi, I'm Sally, provider. I provide care for infants through school agers. Here are my hours," just a talking head. Others will show a tour of their home or a tour of a childcare center. And I think it's helpful to see what other people are doing and to see that you could post a YouTube video that doesn't have to be fancy. You want to keep it very short, a couple minutes at most. If it goes longer than a few minutes, it can be very boring. If you're going to show pictures of children, you need permission. The best video I saw and the worst video was the same one. It was a family childcare provider who was holding a camera videoing herself, and she was in the hallway of her home. And she said, "Hi, I'm Susie, provider. Can you hear that? Can you hear that? That's children playing in the other room. Let's go see what they're doing." And she goes into the other room. Well, wait a minute. She's out in the hallway and the kids are in the room? This is not good. This is not good. This may be even a violation of her licensing rules, so not good. But then she was in the room with the kids and did a very short little activity with the children that showed how she interacted with the children. And that was excellent. Next. Now, when talking about the internet, we also need to talk about some of the bad side. What if your reputation is attacked on the internet? A parent posts something very negative about you on her Facebook page. Or there are several sites, Yelp.com, I forget some of the other ones, where parents can post a review of a childcare program. This program is 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, and so on. What happens if somebody is attacking you on the internet? Number one, you want to tell your licensor, report it. Not that they're going to fix it, but you want them to know about it. Because if the parent has not made a complaint to licensing and are complaining about you on the internet, if they later make a complaint to licensing, licensing's not going to take what they say as seriously. You don't want to respond directly to somebody. You don't want to go on and say, no, you're wrong. You owe me money. I never did that. No, because the parent will just continue to respond back and say, yes, you did. It's your fault. You might want to go to some of these review sites. Just Google child care reviews to see these sites. And once you see them, you may want to ask one or two of your parents to go on there and post something positive. So if a parent later posts something negative, it's balanced out. Ask staff, ask parents, if they hear about anything negative, whether it's on the internet or just gossip, that you want to hear about it. In my experience, when I talk to providers who've gone through this, parents tend to complain to some people, and once they run out of people to complain to, it stops. And it stops pretty quickly, within a couple weeks, usually. If it's more serious, if it's constant, if you're losing parents because of this, then you may want to talk to a local lawyer to get advice about how to proceed to try to stop this from continuing. Next. Let me pause here again for more questions.
Thanks, Tom. There aren't too many that have come in. Somebody did, thinking about benefits and strategies, asked if they could say as a benefit that they potty train children.
Sure, that is the benefit. Clearly, not all providers do that.
And somebody asked, do they have to mention your name or business for it to be an attack when you know it's about your business?
Well, if people reading it would know that it's you, then it's a problem. If people reading it would not know that it's you, then I would ignore it. That's a tough one, to see whether or not you assume that somebody knows about it, knows that it's you. It's not slander unless you're identified, unless you could be identified. So if you're not identified, I think I would just let it go.
And somebody, Michelle asked how to get parent reviews to show up on Google.
I don't know that it shows up directly on Google. It shows up on specific sites that are there set up to review childcare programs. These are sites, Yelp.com is the most common one, where you can go review restaurants and movies and all kinds of things, and childcare. So it'll say review childcare. So that's where you would see these reviews. I don't think you'd see them directly on Google.
And Melinda asked your thoughts about putting a sign in your front yard.
Depends on what the sign says. You first want to make sure you're not in violation of any zoning ordinance about signs and the size of signs, because I've talked to a provider who got in trouble about that. So make sure the sign is not illegal. And then, sure, I would put, Sally's childcare. And here's my favorite slogan that I created. Family childcare where your child is always at home. I love it. Where your child is always at home. Sally's daycare, where your child is always at home. Okay?
Yeah,
right.
Several of the participants really love that too, Tom.
You can use it.
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's move on.
Yep.
Marketing strategies. Let's be a little more specific. There was a survey done a while ago asking parents what were the most important factors for them in choosing a childcare program. Here they are. Number one, safe environment, learning activities, cost, provider trained in child development, safety. Your primary responsibility is to keep children safe. That's what parents want to know about. Therefore, when you're giving a tour of your house, that's what you want to emphasize. Tom, notice the outlets are covered. I've locked away anything that's dangerous to children. If a child falls down, there's nothing that's going to hurt them on the floor, and so on. I'm trained in CPR. Notice my smoke detectors. Here are my fire extinguishers. Here's the emergency list, the poison control list, and so on. That's what parents want to know about. Learning activities, learning. Cost is not number one. Let's go to the next slide. In promoting your program, I think there are three primary groups that you want to pay attention to: prospective clients, current clients, past clients. Prospective clients. You don't necessarily want to accept all families who want to enroll in your program. That might be a strange thing to say in a marketing class, but you want a long-term relationship with parents. Believe it or not, one provider called me up and said, last night I had a parent interview. The parent was late for the interview. I asked the parent, why are you late? And she said, we were meeting with our lawyer. We're suing our previous caregiver. And the provider said to me, is this a parent I should enroll? Can I say no to this parent? And I said, you can absolutely say no to this parent. Follow-up calls. Have you had the experience of a parent calling you, asking you about childcare, and then saying, thank you, I'll get back to you. I have to talk to my husband, I'll call you back. But they don't. Or they've completed an interview in your home and they say, we'll get back to you. But they don't. And if that ever happens, and you are interested in this family, will you always call that parent back? Will you always do follow-up calls? And in my experience, very, very few providers do that. Here's why this is important. You want to call the parent back. You want to say, hi, this is Sally, provider. Tom, we talked last week. I'm calling to see if you found childcare yet for your child, Elmer. And if I say, no, I haven't, then you would say, is there anything I can do to help you in your search? Remember, I'm the provider with, and list a couple of your benefits. Sometimes parents start the process of looking for childcare and then stop. They can't make a decision. Their husband's out of town. They just don't have the time to figure it out. They're confused. And nobody else is calling them back. This is an opportunity, and that may make the difference. If I say, however, I found childcare, then you want to say, glad to hear it. What was it about that childcare program? You want the parent to try to tell you what were the benefits of the program they did choose, because maybe you can learn something from that. Before a parent's going to make a decision to enroll in your program, it's likely that they will have talked to you on the phone, looked at the outside appearance of your center, your home, should have put home there, or also conducted some kind of parent interview. So you want to make sure you have a clear message on your answering machine. You want to make sure the outside appearance of your home doesn't have burning tires on the front lawn. And you want to take the opportunity of a parent interview to find out whether this is going to be a good fit. And if so, to ask the parent if they want to enroll. Photos. If I come to your home for an interview, I'm likely to see pictures. Pictures on the wall, on your refrigerator, perhaps in a photo album, a scrapbook, pictures of kids, pictures of your program. But every provider probably also has pictures. So just pictures alone essentially are features. And once I've seen 6 pictures of children on a swing set, that's not helping me decide to enroll in your program. Therefore, you want to identify the benefits of what a few of those pictures represent. In other words, if there's a picture of children on a swing set, you want to say large muscle activity. If there's a picture of a special event, Santa Claus, this is Santa Claus, we have an annual Santa Claus party. Children are having fun. Children are reading. I read to children every day. What about this? There's a picture of children in a room. You could caption that with children picking up after themselves. I teach responsibility. That's great. You don't have to caption every picture, but you want to tell parents how children are learning or how they are benefiting by captioning those photos. Let's go to the next slide. Just because a parent is enrolled in your program doesn't mean you can stop marketing it to them. You want to keep your families. Losing a family and then finding another family is hard. It's easier to try to do some work to keep the family. Therefore, you want to find out if parents have concerns early on before it becomes serious and they're thinking about leaving. So do regular parent evaluation at least once a year. Finder's fee. I'm going to come back to that. Using the bulletin board, the newsletter, notes to continue to communicate with parents. This is what we learned today. This is what we're going to learn tomorrow. This is what your child has learned in the past month, 6 months, as you conduct regular parent conferences, celebrations. Use these as opportunities to promote your program. How? One provider in Texas has a summer barbecue every August. She invites the current families, the past families, the families on her waiting list. She says she has about 150 people every year. The current families are now connected with past families, as well as families on the waiting list, and they're thinking, wow, this is a good place to be. These people are not coming here for the food, they're coming here because it was a great experience. And they can see that this is like an extended family, that the relationship with this provider continues on, and that's a good thing. Families on the waiting list will see this and say, I can't wait to get on this program. Let's go to the next slide. Finder's fee. If you have an opening now, in my opinion, this is the very first thing you should do to try to fill that slot. Tell the other parents in your program, If you refer a family to me and I enroll them, I'm going to pay you a certain amount of money after that family has been with me for a month. Now, if we were all in a room together, and I've done this with thousands of providers, I would say, pretend that I live in your town. And I come to you and say, I'm going to talk to everybody I know who might need childcare, who might fit into your program, and I'll refer them to you. If you decide you want to enroll that family, and you do, after that family has been with you a month and paid you for a month, I want $50. How many people in this room be willing to give me $50 for that? And in my experience, only a few people raise their hand. Then I'll say, how about $100? How about $200? And nobody's hand is up. Think about it. How long are parents going to be in your program? 1 year, 2 years, 5 years? They're going to pay you thousands and thousands of dollars over the time they're in your program. And you're not willing to pay me $50, $100, $200 to get that family? You're only paying me after you've already collected that amount of money. To me, it's a no-brainer. Parents, people who are screening providers for you, parents for you, are helping you out so that they're only sending you parents that really might need care that you have to offer. All right, past parents who have left your program. You want to send them business cards. Ask them to pass it out at work or people that they might know. If you have a newsletter, you want to keep them on your newsletter list. Send them birthday and holiday cards. They may know of other people who might need childcare. Next slide. Now, as a parent who's thinking about enrolling perhaps in your program, I'm wondering, how do I know that my child is going to be successful, is going to succeed if I enroll in your program? What is the measure of your success? How will I know? The measure of your success is how well the children do after leaving your program. So here's what I strongly recommend. Stay in communication with the children after they leave your program for as long as you're in business. Send them Christmas cards, birthday cards, ask them to communicate to you, letters, ask them to send you pictures of themselves, high school graduation, they're getting married, they have a baby, they're on vacation, whatever. And with their permission, put the pictures on the wall, put the pictures in a photo album. Here's how you would use this. I'm coming to your home for an interview. I'm nervous. Are my values your values? I don't know you. You don't know me. Is this going to work out? Maybe I have a military background and I want my child to have a lot of discipline. Are you the right provider for my child? Maybe I have a hippie background and I want my child to run naked outside every day. Is that going to work out? I don't know. Here's how you handle this. You would say, Tom, welcome. I think your child, Elmer, will do really well in my program. How can I say that? Look on this wall with all the pictures of all the other children who've been with my program. See this child over here? He's in the Army. This child's in the Peace Corps. This child, look, is they're on vacation with their own child and everybody's smiling and happy. And look at all these kids who did well. after coming through my program, regardless of whether you think I'm offering not enough structure or too much structure, it works. What I'm doing works. And this is the result that you can see that it did work. Now, one of those kids is in jail. You take down the picture. I've never seen that child before. In family childcare, in particular, a new parent might be very nervous about they want to know if this is going to work out. And it's only you. There's nobody else around, really. And showing them how the other kids are doing later, I think it's the most powerful way to show the benefits of your program. You're also competing against child care centers. You're always going to have some benefits that centers do not, right? Small group size to help children learn, home cooked meals, and so on. You may want to find out what centers are saying about themselves. So you could go to their website, their Facebook page, walk into their center and say, I'm just curious, what do you got? Have you got any flyers? And get information to see what they are saying. You're not going to copy what they say, but you want to know, so that if a parent is looking at your program, they may also be looking at that center. And you may want to be able to, you want to know what the center is saying so that you can counter it. You can say, well, other programs may offer this, but here's what I have to offer. You're also competing with unregulated programs, unlicensed programs, legally unlicensed programs, illegal programs. They are, in general, competing on price. They're charging less. And you don't want to compete on price, because there's always going to be somebody cheaper. And if you're taking the time and energy to listen to me, you're not the cheapest care in town. You're not the lowest quality in town. And so you don't want to promote yourself based on price. You want to promote yourself based on value. Now, some parents may want unregulated care, relative care, care that's next door, that you can't do anything about. But some parents may not understand the difference between licensed care and unregulated care. So you want to emphasize the difference. Next slide. You want to say, I'm licensed, but that means I have all these health and safety standards that I'm following. I'm following the CDC health guidance. I'm following all the states' health and safety guidance dealing with COVID. If you're dealing with an unregulated provider, that may not be the case. I'm taking a lot of training to keep up to date about child development and gaining knowledge to help your child learn. Unregulated programs are highly unlikely to be taking ongoing training, and so on. Next slide. Marketing, as I said at the beginning, is not a one-time activity. You want to spread your activities over the months. Do a little bit something every month. You don't have to spend a lot of money. I haven't described things that cost a lot of money. Don't be afraid to try something new. Marketing is the opportunity to talk with other providers. You can share whatever you want. Say to other providers, how did you fill your program? What worked? What didn't work? Just because something worked for somebody else doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And something that didn't work for them might work for you. Therefore, there's no one thing I could tell you. There's no 1, 2, or 3 things I could tell you that will work for everybody. So try something else. If that doesn't work, keep moving. You want to promote your benefits and connect those with price. The amount you charge should be directly connected to the quality of your program, the benefits. Parents will only pay more for something if they think it has more benefits than the thing that costs less, right? And if I'm a parent calling you up and calling 2, 3, 4, 5 providers, if you're not clarifying to me what your benefits are, you're going to all look the same to me. And because most providers do a bad job of explaining and communicating their benefits, not features, but benefits, parents often cannot tell the difference from one provider to the next, and therefore are more likely to choose based on price. If you go to the shoe store and you see shoes that from your point of view are about the same quality, you're going to pick the cheaper one. But if you see a shoe that has better quality from your point of view, you pay more for it. What should your rates be based on? How much do you want to earn? What's the going rate? What can parents afford to pay? Now, it's illegal for competitors to discuss rates. You can't turn to the provider that you know, call her on the phone and say, are you going to raise your rates this year? That's illegal. There's a federal antitrust law against it. A competitor is someone who lives close enough to you that I, as a parent, could use either one of you. If the other provider doesn't know that you're a competitor, you can discuss rates. So you could call up another provider who doesn't know you and say, I'm a parent looking for childcare. What do you charge? That's not illegal. No. If you're going to raise your rates, and I'm not recommending it, but if you are, I think you should do so in this way. You want to meet a specific financial goal. That's why you're raising your rates. You're not raising your rates just for the heck of it. You want to, I don't know, reduce debt, put money away for your retirement, set up an emergency fund. Setting a specific financial goal will make it much easier to raise your rates. For example, you want to save $2,000 a year for your retirement. You have 5 children. That means you need to raise your rates by $400 per child per year. Divided by 52 weeks, that's $7.69 a week. So parents, I'm raising my rates by $7.69, and I'm going to use that money for my retirement, and there's $2,000. Higher rates can make a difference. If you're charging $170 a week and you want to increase rates by 3% a year, inflation now is 4, 5, 6, 7%. This would represent $5.10 more income per week per child. With 5 children, that's $25.50 more per week, or $1,300 per year. And after the second year, you've got $2,600 more. Even a small increase can make a difference. That's what I want to say. All of you have benefits. You need to identify them. Take some time to think it through. Ask other providers who know you, what's good about my program? Why should I, as a parent, want to come to your program when I could come to others? Memorize these benefits. The more you're able to communicate them, the more you're going to be able to charge. Again, Here is my email address. I'm happy to try to answer additional questions. There's my website, Facebook. This is a book I've written, Family Childcare Marketing Guide, available through my website. So, questions?
Tom, we do have a couple questions about the finder's fee. One is about where the finder's fee comes from, how you handle it. Is it cash? Is it discounted tuition, etc.?
Yeah, there's no right or wrong. You could pay the person, here's $50, here's a gift certificate, or if it's a current parent enrolled, you could say, I'll give you a free day of care, 2 days of care, free week of care. I'll care for your child Friday night while you go out to the movies. It could be whatever you want. You might ask the parents in your program, what would you like? Now, some providers have said to me, I don't need to offer the parents anything because they are willing to do it on their own. So great, you don't need to give out anything if parents are willing to do it for nothing.
And then when you were talking about the interviewing, people had questions about not enrolling families based on the interview because it's not a good fit if they already know that there are openings. And then also, what do you do about the finder's fee if somebody refers a family and you don't end up enrolling them? So those two questions about that.
So I think they're the same question. That is, how do you say no? How do you say no to a parent? Now, I've written an article on my website, search how to say no, because the answer is you'd say to the parent, I don't think this is the best place for your child. You don't say anything negative about the child or the parent. You're not criticizing them. It's not you, it's me. I'm not the best caregiver for your child. You don't want to give explanations because that just gets you into trouble. I don't think this is the best place for your child. That's how I would say it. This is not the best fit for your child. Well, why not? Why not? I just have a feeling that it's not the best place, that I'm not the best caregiver. It's on me. It's just a feeling I have. That's how I would say it. I would say that to somebody who's referred to you. It's like, okay, you're asking questions, you're screening out, you're talking, you just have a feeling. I would go on your gut feeling.
Thanks, Tom. And one last one, Rachel asked, how do you explain your tuition is not based on attendance? So I'm assuming that's for prospective families.
Yeah, so I charge, $200, $180 a week tuition, whether or not you show up. Oh, parents, oh. You'd say, well, I can't, if you don't show up one day, I can't fill that slot for one day. That's my rule. A lot of times this comes down to just saying to parents, that's my rule. I understand you're not happy with the rule. That's my rule. When the local theater, the movie theater, raised their rates, did you get invited to a focus group to hear their explanation as to why they raised their rates? No. When McDonald's raises its rates, do you get a survey ahead of time asking whether you want them to raise your rates? No. So you'd say to parents, here's my tuition. If you're raising your rates, I put it in a contract and get the parents to sign it. Put it in writing. Parents, I'm raising my rates next month, 6 months from now. Here's the new contract with the higher rate. I need you to sign it. Oh, I don't like that. I'm not going to sign it. If you're not going to sign it, I'm not going to be able to provide care. Oh, that's my rate. Now, I don't think you should spend a lot of time trying to justify your rates. In my opinion, your rates are about right when occasionally you lose a parent who says your rates are too high. Because if a parent has never, ever left your program because of your rates, they're too low. That's how I look at it. when you go to stores, we don't buy everything we see. And parents, let's say, you shouldn't expect all parents to be totally opposed to a rate increase. Now, I'm simplifying. If you're only caring for subsidized children, this is a totally different matter, and you don't have control over that. But the resistance to higher rates more likely comes from the provider rather than the parent. And this is a time where you could say, I'm raising my rates by 2%, by 3%, by 4% because of inflation, because I need money for my retirement. I'd keep it simple. Some parents can't afford you. Okay, I'm sorry, I need to make a living as well. And there are going to be other parents out there. The more you can communicate benefits, the more you're going to attract other parents.
Thanks, Tom. And Sarah, if you want to talk a little bit about the evaluation, and then we want to hear from Tom again, and I want to address the additional questions, but I'll let you do that first.
Sure. Thank you, Patty. So we have some evaluation questions that should have popped up on your Zoom screen right now. And they're just 3 questions. How much has your understanding or awareness of marketing for family child care improved from this webinar? How likely will you use at least one of these strategies or practices? And then if you scroll down to the very bottom, there is a comments section where you can type in a longer answer for us. And we do have information about Tom's next 2 webinars that are coming up, and I will pass it back to Patty to talk about those.
Thanks. We actually have 2 upcoming webinars with Tom, one on legal and insurance issues and one on money management and retirement. So I know that some of you asked questions in the chat that Tom will cover in these 2 webinars. Also, he very graciously shared his blog with you, and a lot of information that you asked questions about is there. When you get the recording, and actually when you got the invitation to this, you do have our email, the National Center on Early Childhood Quality Assurance, and you also have Tom's email. So if you have additional questions, you can email us, and Tom is meticulous about going through the chat and picking out the questions and producing frequently asked questions document. So again, we want to thank you all on behalf of the Office of Child Care's National Center. We know you work long hours, 7 days, what probably feels like 8 days a week, and you care so much for so many, and we're just grateful beyond words for all of the work that you do in caring for our nation's children. And Tom, I don't know if you've had the ability to read through the chat, but people are just so grateful, and so are we, for all that you do. And Eugenia she chatted in, and I want to share it with you because I think it really speaks to how we all feel. You are full of wisdom. Thank you for taking the time to share and to care. And I think that really says it all. Thank you, Tom, so much. Thank you, Sarah and Tatiana, and to all of you, thank you for being here. We really appreciated your time.